Hey, it's Jonathan here. This is a knees over toes yoga flow. It's inspired by Ben Patrick, the knees over toes guy. This is an opportunity to put the knees over toes principles into practice in a yoga situation. There'll be lots of opportunities to make this scalable and progressive, something that you can come back and continue to do the same practice over and over again, maybe add weights, potentially a 2.5 pounder, a 5 pounder, or a 10 pounder for certain exercises. And then also we'll be using a blanket for class, the wall, and potentially some yoga blocks. Enjoy. Okay, begin standing, just basic standing position here. As you stand, just bend your knees. One thing that I made a mistake of for so long in yoga was always trying to keep my knees back to protect my knees and not testing the edge of having the knees go not just over the toes, but even beyond and past the toes. So our first exercise is just reverse step up. So that will be to lean over to your right foot, hover your left foot, and then bend your right knee to your capacity as you reach the left foot forward, and then push your right leg straight. So how we can make things scalable and progressive here is that you could add a little bit of a weight that you hold on to, potentially even a weight vest for certain exercises throughout. Again, the purpose of this is to come back over and over again and potentially see those changes and shifts. We'll get about maybe 8 to 10 of these where we're literally taking the knee again past the toes. Okay, switch legs, lower your left foot down, hover your right foot, extend your leg forward, and then bend into your knee and push your leg straight again. So again, just going to your depth, seeing how far that you can reach your right foot forward as you do this. And certain exercises we'll come back and do again and again, just with different variations. Okay, and then lower your foot down. Have your feet together, bend your knees, and sit down into a chair position. So here in chair, there's those two options. One is to move your knees back and stick your butt back, tilt forward. But for today's class, trying to move your knees forward here as you sit down. And this is something I've gained greater depth in terms of ability to move further forward. But as you move the knees forward, part of it is just the range and flexibility of your ankle joint. That might be the limiting factor. Holding strong here. On your next exhale, hinge forward and touch your hands down to the ground. Opportunity, if you have blocks nearby, you can put your hands on blocks. I like to have the feet a little bit wider here for what are called elephant walks. So just bend one knee and push your other leg straight, and then switch from side to side. Try to be lifted up in a halfway lift position in yoga. As you do that, really stretch out through the back of your hamstring of the straight leg, just going side to side, really feeling that stretch, enjoying the stretch. Tastes good. Okay, pausing there, push down with your feet and slowly come all the way up to stand. Now just a basic yoga high lunge position. Step your left foot back behind you. And then from there, settle low into your front leg. Now, what we'll test here is the knee going forward. And again, for years and years and years, I would always say the safe place to be is your knee over your ankle. And that's speaking from a person that had challenging knee conditions. And you know what? It never got any better. And it wasn't until I started to apply the principles of having the knee go forward a little bit more that my knee developed that resilience. So just testing where your edge is here, how far forward you can go. As I mentioned earlier, where it's scalable is you could start to add weights on this one. But for now, most of them I'll just go without the weights. So moving the knee forward, seeing how far you can go. And some might have great range of motion. So when I started about a year ago, wasn't very far, but now getting to a place where I can drop down quite low. And then now from here, on an exhale, touch your hands down to the ground and then pause in a plank position. So just doing a more yoga focused flow here, lower down halfway. Keep your toes tucked under and then lift up into your cobra position. So pull your shoulders back, lift your chest, lean back, and then press it back to downward facing dog position. Switching legs, so step your left foot forward and rise up, have your hands to your hips. So again, just testing your knee on this one, moving your knee forward and back. See how far you can get the knee towards the toes on this one, just testing in, going a little bit further, a little bit further. And then see where your edge is, try to hold it there at the low position. Move your shoulders back, stay strong, stay upright. Okay, and then touch your hands down, step back to plank pose. In plank pose, keep your chin lifted, lower down halfway or all the way. Keep your toes tucked under and lift up into cobra. A little bit opposite of what you might hear in traditional yoga class with the toes tucked under. And push back to downward facing dog. So just actually feel that. Keep the toes tucked under and then lower down onto your knees. So the intention here is to have the toes in a lifted position. Just doing a couple cat-cows where you exhale and round your spine. And then inhale to arch your back, lower your belly, lift your sit bones up. So just finding some mobility and movement in the spine here. And also coordinating the movement with your breath. So the inhale is the back bend where you can push your knees to your hands and hands towards your knees. Lengthen, look up, and then exhale, push your hands forward. Press your knees back, round your spine, really tone through your front body. Next time that you inhale, just pause in a neutral spine position. We'll extend one leg out. So stretch your left leg out with your toes tucked under, and then just push all the way back with the left foot, and then maybe pulse your body forward and back here just to stretch out the toes. Okay, and then switch sides, lower your knee down, stretch your right leg back, and then same thing. Just move your body forward and back, stretching out through your toes. Okay, and then bring your knee forward, tuck your toes under, lift up into downward facing dog position. In down dog, step your right foot forward between your hands, lower your knees down, and rise up, place your hands to your front thigh. Up to you for your back foot. You can point your toes back behind you. I actually like that. Puts more pressure on the top of the shin as opposed to the kneecap itself. But now with your knee down, it's a little bit easier to test the limitations or the range that you have for your knee over your toes. So begin to move your knee forward. Try not to tilt the whole torso forward. Stay upright in the spine. And again, this is where you could still add weights and get to a point where there's heavier weights as you go forward on this one. I've got the 5-pounder here. Could even hold 10 pounds above you. Opportunity on this as well is to stay leaned back and upright to get a nice stretch through your psoas as you lift tall. And nothing fancy on this, just switching sides. So you can go through all fours, bring your right leg back, step your left foot forward, and then same thing, just testing the range. It's a little bit easier when your back knee is down to go to your edge. So pushing the knee forward, getting a nice stretch through the front of your right thigh. Same as before, if you had the blocks, you stay more upright, move your shoulders back, lift your chin. Okay, and then now from here, press back to downward facing dog, getting a little bit of playful here, look forward and then hop forward and inhale, rise up to stand. So similar coming up next, it's just that you're gonna grab hold of your blanket, and then the intention of the blanket will be to actually roll it up so that you can stand on it with one of your heels lifted. So I set it up here, and I'll start by balancing on the left foot with the heel lifted now, just doing those reverse step ups. So right foot forward, bend into the left knee, and then straighten the left leg. Again, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And it might be a little bit more challenging just because by lifting your heel, it changes the shape and angle of your ankle. It allows you to actually move your knee quite a bit more forward and isolate a bit more tone for your quadricep muscles here. Again, you could hold the 2.5 pounder, the 5 pounder, maybe the 10 pounder if you want to make this one more challenging. And now switch sides. So lower your right heel onto the blanket, toes onto the mat, left foot forward, and same as before, just going forward and back, bending into your knee, sinking down a little bit lower, trying to reach your foot out as far forward as you can. Okay, back to the first side and just shifting things a little bit. Instead of having your right foot go forward, so your left heel is on the blanket, swing your right leg back behind you, tilt forward, have your arms alongside you, and then find the pulse here. So it's just a modified version of airplane position as you pulse up and down, and I smile a little bit because as I straighten the leg, it's a solid stretch for the hamstring. Okay, and then the transition is pretty simple. Just lower your right foot down, heel on the blanket, lift your left leg back behind you, tilt forward, and same thing, finding those little pulses up and down. Moving slow, you can coordinate it with your breath. Again, opportunity every time. Maybe you come back to this, you hold just 2.5 pounds, then you go up to 5 or 7.5, then maybe 10, just adding weights to it. Lower your foot down, have both heels on the blanket, and then bend your knees into chair position. So sinking down, and then just in a chair, this is where you have a little bit more ability to get low down into the position, working the quads. See how my hips are almost the height of the knees. Press the heels down into the blankets, and then on an exhale, hinge forward into a forward fold position. And then we'll actually do what's called Ardha Uttanasana in yoga, the halfway lift. So lengthen the spine. And when your heels are lifted, it just takes some of the stretch out of the calf muscles and can isolate it more to the hamstrings. So I try my best to get a neutral spine, that little arch in the low back. And now I push my legs as straight as I can. And this one is still so fierce for me. Holy cow, legs are shaking for reals here. Okay, and then slowly come all the way back up, going for an ATG, ass to grass squat here with the heels lifted. Sink down, see if you can get lower all the way down as low as you can. And now push through your heels and come all the way back up. Again, opportunity to lower down and have weights on this one and come all the way back up. I'm doing this as a literal form of exercise. I might hold maybe 20 pounds and then wear a 10-pound vest. So that's about 30 pounds. That's all I'm doing. I can't hold a 45-pound barbell yet at this point in time. That's empty barbell. But going for that full range of motion, and with the heels lifted, it just allows me to keep more of a neutral spine position. And just to see the difference, if my heels are down, I end up in this rounded position and don't have the power to get all the way back up. It's kind of like Urkel, the whole I've fallen and I can't get up. Now up to stand. Don't use the blanket for this next one. It's the sissy squat. So heels lifted, see how far you can go. And again, this is one where you can just test. The more times that you do this practice, the better you'll get, and eventually you'll get to a place where you can get pretty low down on this one. So getting low down with the heels lifted, staying upright on the spine on this first one, and then lifting up. And then there's a version where you actually tilt your body back as you bend your knees and get low down. You might need to hold on to something for this. This is as far as I can go with that tilted back variation. Holy cow, fire in the quadriceps there. Let's flow that one out. Inhale, reach your arms up into the air, stretch up high. Exhale, dive forward, touch your hands down. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine, stretch out all the way. And then plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway or all the way. Keep your toes tucked, lift up, push your hands down, pull your chest forward and up as you move your shoulders back, and then press it back to downward facing dog. Now step your right foot forward, lower your left knee down, and then rise up. Place your hands to your front thigh. Start to move your hips forward and back here. And then see how far, again, you can move your knee forward. You'll have the blocks as a little bit of a gateway for some balance here just beside you. So move the knees forward as much as you can with your back toes tucked for this variation. Now lift your back knee to hover into the full low version of a split squat here. Embrace the challenge. Again, you could reach your arms up in the air. You could hold a weight for this one. The shakes are real. Okay, and then lower your knee, move your hips back, and just switch legs. So right leg goes back, and then left leg goes forward. Move your hips forward and back. Testing how far you can get the knee forward with your back toes tucked. Maybe you don't need the blocks on this. You can tuck your toes under, hover your knee, hold there. Embrace both the strength that's required to hold this position, but then the flexibility, especially in the back leg here. So you puff up your chest. Okay, and then lower your knee, move your hips back, push back to downward facing dog. We'll get a yoga flow in, come forward to plank pose, and then lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale, lift up for your back bend, and exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Look forward between your hands, bring your legs and hop forward. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold in, make sure your blanket is handy, and then put your right heel on top of the blanket as you rise up to stand. Step your left foot back behind you into the lunge position. And now going for a split squat with the heel lifted variation. So from the lunge position and then going all the way down to depth. So bend into the front knee and see how far you can go. Getting down a little bit lower and then potentially going for full range. Again, you could potentially get to a place where you're holding lots of weight in both hands on this one and coming back up. Right now I'm just showing without any weight and maybe doing 3 or 4 at your full depth position. Again, going from the standing position all the way down into that split squat before you come back up. And then switch legs. So put your left heel onto the blanket, step your right foot back, stay upright in your spine, and then bend deep into your left knee, get low, and come back up. Again, where you're at, where this is scalable, even measurable, you can just see how low that you can go on the first one. And it's not going to be that full depth right away. You might even do this with your front foot elevated on something to make it a little bit easier. And of course, you can make it more challenging by having your back foot elevated or your heel just on the floor without the blanket. So going to your edge, again, just testing week by week. You don't have to do this every single day, but certainly a practice like this on a weekly basis, trying to add a little bit more, test your edge a little bit further, is going to be so helpful. Okay, up next, we're heading to the wall. So grab your mat and place it right up against the wall. You can bring the blanket as well. Okay, I'm over here at the wall setting this one up. I'll put a blanket right up against the wall, and then it takes a little bit of finagling. That's my favorite word. But in this case, I'll put my right knee up to the baseboard and the floor, just adding that extra padding with the blanket, and then step the left foot forward. And it's often referred to as couch stretch. There's no couch, it's a wall here. In yoga, I've heard this one called ninja death, which I really like. But this might be where you're at and just be like, and surviving. You can also come up, hands to the front thigh. And the intention on this first one is actually to move the hips back towards the wall and then to tuck your tailbone under to get a nice stretch for your quadriceps and your psoas here. Maybe even move the shoulders back behind you, stretch your arms up in the air. Holy cow. So this is one to just stay, breathe, survive, live, love, laugh, dream, whatever gets you through the period of time. If you have the capacity to jump switch, you're welcome to jump switch. It might be just a slow lower down of your hands and then lower your left knee down, pull your right knee forward and switch sides. So in this case, it's my left knee that's right up against the baseboard. Step the right foot in and then lift up again. Just recognizing that you might not be quite as far as me on this first attempt through, and it'll just take time. It could take, again, weeks, months, maybe even years to get to this level. Just depends on your flexibility, range of motion, and opportunity to lean back. This is something that I'm fairly strong at already, but even still, the intensity level is super, super high on this one. One that you can also hold on to something. I've got the 10-pounder there for a variation of this in a moment. But moving back, tucking your tailbone under, feeling that stretch. Holy, whew. Survive, 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 survive. Okay, and then lower your hands down, lower your knees down. We'll just do tib raises. So the way to do this one is to actually just lean with your back up against the wall, have your feet stretched out, and then just lift your toes and the balls of your feet so you're on your heels, and then lower your feet down, and just do that about 10 or 15 times. So toning the front of the shins, just an area that tends to get relatively weak because we don't necessarily train it very much. Can be a little bit easier on shoes than in bare feet, so just be mindful here. But the intention, again, is to tone the front of the shins, something I'm proud of in terms of the tib definition that I'm getting now. So going back to the couch stretch, ninja death, but going into more of a lunge variation. So I'll have my 10-pounder handy here. Set up my right knee first, and then left foot forward. So the difference this time, instead of moving the hips back, I'm actually gonna move the hips forward, let the knee go forward, but stay upright with the spine. This is where it can help to have a weight. And even in my regular own practice, I'm getting up to about like 20 to 25 pounds here with this variation, going forward with the knee, but then up and back with the torso. So putting a lot of stretch into the front of the right thigh there. Ooh, it feels very, very good. And you might stay a little bit longer. You can always pause the video. And again, I might want to do this if you've never tried it before without any weight, and then just, you could have 1-pounders or like soup cans to hold on to. So switch to the other side. And if you start to get pretty dexterous, that's having great dexterity, you could go from like a standing position into the second side like that. Oh, that was a terrible squeal. And then if you were using the weight, it's the shoulder of your back leg, and then bend and not straighten, just come more upright. So get low and then move your hips back. So embrace the pulses that you can go forward and back, just testing the range of motion, testing your flexibility, seeing how low you can go. And then again, finding that low depth and just breathing into that space. I got great news, it's almost done. The last portion, up to you in terms of how long you want to stay. It's just as simple as putting your legs up the wall, so a really relaxed way to finish. And you can make it even a little bit easier if you put your hips up onto a blanket, but I'll just show the more classic version of this one. So slowly coming out, and you just have to sneak one hip really close up to the wall, and then lift your legs up the wall. Try to snuggle your buns right up against the wall as your legs go vertical, and then arms alongside you. So think of this like Shavasana, and your relaxation, your rest, the end. Shavasana in yoga stands for corpse, just to honor the end. There was a time where I set myself up in this with a heating pad to try to relax my hamstrings, and I fell asleep for 45 minutes. And when I woke up, my legs didn't work. So don't do this for 45 minutes if you've never done it before. Maybe set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes and see how long you can stay. Slow down your breath. Again, never really pushing one particular practice as hard as possible. Just test your limit and your edge. And week by week, you'll see the changes, the shifts. You'll get lower and lower into positions, but more importantly, stronger and hopefully pain-free